Going to start the English medium discussion, and we will have little more than 1 hour. We have a appointed topic for the main thing of the discussion, but before going to that traditional one, I would like to ask if there are any other new comments or new topics or something, then we can proceed and then take few minutes for that and then go to the main discussion. So if there are any, please.
Sarai Bante.
Yes.
We have not received any reports from this end, Bante. For
So that means
session.
we can directly start the Maha Sutta. So I would like to invite Venerable Buddharakkhita to present the topic as well as his comments, please.
So again, this is a dialogue that's going on between the Buddha and a replica the Buddha made of himself. And so the purpose of this is so that he can ask subtle questions for the benefit of the devas who are listening. And so we're beginning again from a question within this sutta that the replica Buddha is putting to the Buddha. The teachings that some say here is supreme. Others say that the same is inferior. Which assertion of theirs could be true when they all claim to be skilled? They say their own teaching is complete, but they say the others' teaching is inferior. Having quarrelled thus, they go on disputing, as they each say their own opinion is true. If one is inferior when disparaged by an opponent, no one would be distinguished among teachings, for they each say the other's teaching is inferior while firmly advocating their own. And their veneration of their own teaching is done just as they praise their own ways. All their assertions would be true, since for them purity is exclusively their own. For a Brahman, there is no being led by others, no selecting among teachings and grasping tightly. Therefore he has overcome disputes, since he does not regard other teachings as supreme. So here we really come down to the crux of the matter, that we all seem to view our own teaching as superior and complete, and we view the teachings of others as inferior and incomplete. And this would sum up almost every single domain or discipline or conversation or argument or political debate or scientific debate throughout time. It's really comes down to this crux of how can we know anything? And firstly, so the answer that the Buddha is giving is that for a Brahman, and in this case, when he says Brahman, he really means like an enlightened person, a genuine Brahman. There is no being led by others. So he's not looking to others in essence to lead himself. So his frame of reference is not external. And his reference is not external to other people, to other leaders, to other gurus, to other teachings. It's an internal reference. So this Brahman does not select amongst teaching and grasping to those teachings tightly. So again, you see here in his answer that it's this identification with self, identification with the guru, identification with the teachings. So this Brahman is not identifying in that sense. He's not selecting amongst these teachings and not grasping tightly to them. Therefore, he has overcome dispute, so he has nothing to argue about with the other, since he does not regard other teachings as supreme. Because it's not his frame of reference. It's not that there might be some validity to what somebody else is saying. It's just not his frame of reference. So he has his own insight. He has his own truth. He has his own stability. It's very internal. Whereas other people are always referencing off of, teachings. They're they're triangulating. They're trying to find some sort of stability through this frame of reference. So my teacher said this book says that, and they are therefore just blown around. Then they get into these arguments that this teaching is supreme and that the other's teaching is inferior, because they really don't know. They really have no genuine insight. So this is still going on to this very day. This is something extremely powerful. In fact, I would say as we become more interconnected through information, and this becomes the information age, then this teaching here by the Buddha, this subtle argument that he was making, has become even more important. We don't seem to be able to find common truth. Everybody has alternative facts, alternative arguments, alternative truth. So we can find it very hard these days to even have shared truth, shared reality. I maybe it's just my own projection that in this agrarian society in the time of the Buddha, most people, I think, would have been coming from the same area, from the same culture. They would have been based in an agrarian society. In other words, it was kind of like farming, and they would have had a lot of common truths held. I mean, they would have had superstitions, on the other hand, like the mechanism of why certain things happened. They would have had a superstitious background maybe about it, or not science-based. But on the other hand, they would have been very earthy, I would have imagined. These, kind of agricultural people, very earthy, linked to the cycle of life, the cycle of nature. Whereas these days, people are not linked to the earth, to nature, to the cycles of life. They can be very, very abstract, or caught up in their ideas and thinking, or imagination, or fantasy. So finding a common ground, finding a common truth is impossible, because there's no frame of reference, no common anything. So to have this insight, even at that time, where in some ways I imagine, I mean, I don't know how true it is, that they had this common ground, this common way of looking at things. I mean, I just related back to my own experience growing up in a village, in a farming community, that they all think the same to a great degree. They have quite a very strongly shared common view amongst themselves. But to dismiss all of this and point inward, that the reason that teachings we go around saying that my teaching is superior and the other's teaching is inferior, and that we quarrel about this, is because we don't know our own heart. For a Brahman, there is no being led by others. Why is the Brahman not led by others? Because he's led by his own internal frame of reference. He knows truth as it is. He doesn't need to be led. Not selecting amongst teachings and grasping tightly, because he knows truth as it really is. Therefore, he has overcome disputes, especially the key dispute is the one within one's own heart, whatever about other beings, since he does not regard other teachings as supreme, because he knows truth as it is, directly itself. So maybe you'd like to...
Which the stanza you are just specifically referring, or it's a common?
From 903. It's called 903 here, and I have 3 different translations, and it's still all 903.
Yours if you take big Bodhis, and it is very
different,
close.
Special and superior.
Yeah, 903. Can you just read the direct translation English?
It starts with a question from the replica Buddha, and he says, the teaching that some here say is supreme, others say that the same is inferior.
I am reading the Pali.
Yeah.
This thing, I mark it as 907. So 4 numbers difference. Yamahu dhammang paramanti eke, tameva hinanti panahu anye. Sacchanu vado katamo imesang, sabbeva hime kusalava dana. Some monks and ascetics says this is the supreme. The others are inferior. What is your opinion? What is the truth? Are they all good? Or they are just all useless? So that is the question the imaginary Buddha is asking from Gautama the Buddha. And he says, Sakang hi dhammang paripunna mahu anyasa dhammang panahina mahu. Some ascetic and Brahmins, he always says, mine is fulfilled, mine is complete. Others, there are loopholes, others no end, they are quite open-ended. Evampi viggahya vadanti vivadayanti sakasakan sammuti mahu sajjam. This is the way they are adamant, they are stereotype and telling, I am true. I am the superior, I am this, but others, I find these loopholes and mistakes. They are taking their own view as the truth. When that happens, what else can happen? He don't think it is a view, he think it is as a truth. So that happened only to the Brahmins and the ascetics. The people working in the field and the working field in the lifting the weight, they don't have this question. They have to have the bread and butter. But those who are somewhat better off, like ascetics and the Brahmins, they say, I am fully complete. My theory is complete. Others have weaknesses. So they have enough room for the debate. That is because they are wrong view. Or their view. The Buddha says wrong view. So that's a superior disease, not the common people disease. Common people have the bread and butter question. Diseases. But the people are those who have something to eat and some places to sleep and the clothing, they are fighting. So Buddha is in the common people's ground or from the Brahmins' grounds? You have to decide. So this is the theme of the whole sutta, whereby those who are meditating, those who are spiritual life, they are in asylum, in a mad place. So the Buddha himself is telling. So which mad person is good? Which asylum is good? Is what we have to decide. So being meditators, what I thought was the Buddha's reality need no any theory, no any formula. If any theory come, it will get corrupted, and it is based on either eternalism or nihilism. That's why whenever you become very, very thorough with the Buddhism, you are unwashable. You become permanent damage. PhD, permanent head damage. You will get PhD. So, the other hand, Nissarana, we had a principle, you must not read, you must not by heart anything, just listen to the teacher. There should not have any library. But later we have the best library for the moment. But still, are we misled? Or are we fighting for this and that? Or we are going to accept this disease, accept this infestation of the theory and the view, so that are we to fight with others? I mean, we must discuss, we must have dialogue, we must have dynamic dialogue, but not to prove something, because the Buddha is already given. So there are two ways of argument, prasangika, sakavada. Prasangika means showing your mistakes, but I am not prescribing something. I am telling you, this is not connected, this and yes, no flow, and grammatically wrong. So I can prasangika, that means analytical. But instead I can say, no, take mine, I am the superior. Don't talk about me, talk about with me. This is what. So I am giving my view. So Venerable Nagarjuna is the best person ever in the world about this dialogue or debate or how do you call logics. But he was only prasangika. He was explaining what is wrong with the Hindu presentation, what is wrong with other animation and kind of, but he never presented something. So he was failure. His disciples told, my teacher was just destructive. He was criticizing everything, and therefore he was not given anything. So I also was much with the same sharpness in my mouth, because many Sri Lankan monks, they are criticizing Hinduism, criticizing Muslim, but they are not giving something, they are not practicing, they are not going to Pindapata, they are not living exemplified life. Then I told, you are just destroying. And our monks also have the same mistake. They are not practicing. What is your regiment? Where is your camp? Where is your barrack? And I thought I am a winning. I have never gone to the confrontation, but I am shouting at home. But later, whenever I heard the prasangika method of analysis of Mula Madhyama Karika, one of the Sri Lankan professors, one monk told, Bante, you must read this book. This is the way the dialogue or the debate or relationship or arguing happen. There's two kinds, prasangika and sakavada. So as far as the Buddha is there, we have nothing to present. He has already given. So if you are wrong, I am just telling, hey darling, you are in problem, you are leading to a problem. I am telling, don't do it. So you can criticize me, he is just criticizing, he is not teaching me, he is not giving something. Then I say, please go to the Sutta Nipata, read it. So therefore I can give that credit to the Buddha and just tell, as far as we have compassion, as far as we have sympathy or empathy. Otherwise, I will be criticizing. That's why he told that all the agrarian societies are accepting the basic tenet. But within that we have the intensified agriculture, Indo-agriculture, farming, all the kind of thing. But still we are living on the earth. But when we are fighting, all the agrarian people, other people can't understand because they are down to earth, still they are fighting. I don't say it is a fight, it's a dialogue. So, Sutta Nipata book we selected for our discussion. So therefore we have to understand, we must have interaction, we must have confrontation. But not always with the negative fighting. So Avalokvamsa used to say, as far as you have the compassion, even if you debate and defeat other person, you are not in danger. Otherwise, when you are defeating other person, he will get irritated and he will chasing you behind he will stab you. But the Buddha had the natural death. That's a great thing, lived 80 years, 45 years exposed life. For 16 hours in people, 2 hours with gods. And still he maintained his solitude and he was going arguing and all that. He has a natural death. All the others, they have shaken the society. They have shaken the authority. So authority is merciless. Socrates, Jesus Christ, John F. Kennedy, Gandhi. So therefore, if you are to live with the people, you have to present that you are wrong. What are you telling me that, what you are telling? Just please go and refer to the Sutta Nipata. Go to the Sutta Pitaka. Can you give me? No, I can't, because I am also doing the same. I am also still reading. I am not a complete person because I can't compare with Buddha. I have to accept it. So as Sakavada, there is no my own profession, profess. I am telling, I am accepting it. With that, I have associated with it. Yesterday, that is what we did in Pavarana. What we did. Dittenava, sutenava, parisankayava, vadantupang ayasmanto, anukampang upadaya, pasanto parikarisami. We have lived together 3 months. If you have seen any visual or eye or ear or suspicion, please tell me. I am inviting you. But no one is telling others' mistakes because it is not that everyone is perfect. But we have mutual understanding. And that is the biggest, the most refined culture, Buddhist culture according to Upandita side. Because no one is asking someone to please analyze me and cut and kind of thing. Because we have so much of arrogance. We are also arrogant to a certain extent. But mutual understanding, living under the same roof, so that never this kind of question asked by human beings. That is why the imaginary Buddha only can ask. We have so much of radio discussions, we have so much of television discussion, full of debates present day. Parliament is there, and the people going to the goal face and shouting. What they are shouting? They are just sound pollution. Only sound pollution. They don't know mind your own business. We have to not only mind your business, we are discussing each other. So therefore the Buddha is negative about this kind of one-upmanship. And it is very common in Chula Vihua as well as the present Sutta, the Maha Vihua. So we have to go further. That is what I mentioned. So when I am reading, when he was reading, what I thought was, Buddha's theory need no any books, no memory, no theory. It need not have any projection, no pin down. So Bhikkhu Bodhi told, science need no any evidence to the Buddhism. Buddhism can stand still without any support. But the science is a way we can communicate with others so scientific people can understand. It is nothing amazing. Because the Buddhism itself was this Tathagata situation, need no any, it is unpropped up. It is not supported by anything. It is called apatitita. Apatitita means it is not based upon something, a person, or sect, or a building, or any the liberty statue, nothing. So that itself is everlasting. So therefore, whenever you feel the Dhamma is happening, you are no more, or myself is no more, but still you have your own share of experience. It's a distance observation, and you can see some others also can feel that whenever they are lost into self, and Dhamma is happening, pervading. So for that, these two suttas are good, but find difficult to grasp the idea. Because always they think they should have a Buddhist affairs department in the government, and they should say, now we have Constitution number 9. It's a promise of the government to protect Buddhism. Without that, it would have been better. And in Kandi Perahara, they must take the deed where the English government gave. Even under the English this thing, they have rights to go into the procession in the street. And he take this thing. What does it says? And what does the Aktapatra, the official letter handing out the Siyamanikaya Mahanayaka? That is what you give whenever you become Mahanayaka. You know Mahanayaka? Siyamanikaya chieftain. Whenever appointed, they give this certificate like that. It's one thing. It says, if you happen to know any coup in the government, in the country, against Buddhism and the government, if you are not declaring it, you will be killed. Recently published. Valpala Rahula published it. He says, this is giving you the right. You are the chieftain. Have it? Yes. If you know people are in the coup, how do you call? Kumantrana? How do you say? Struggle against the government or Buddhism. You know definitely. Knowing if you are not telling, will be shooted. One monk shot dead. Kudapala Samanera in Kandy. Because he was the chieftain, there was no Upasampada. He was this thing, and he is appointed. But the coup happened. Rebelling against the British government, killed. People revoluted. Same thing happened in Burma. King Vijaya, Vijaya, he taken to the prison. He says, I must have my robe, I must have my precepts. So no robes, you have to take the normal uniform. He starved to death 167 days. Then whole country had the revolution against British government. So this is how it happens. So that is, if you get a post, if you give an organization, it's always satanic. If you are here now, I am free, I am me. Then all these theories, no, we need no any imaginary Buddha. We can just understand our own Buddha. And I have no special message, because I am professing the same thing the Buddha says. But I can see if you are agreeing, I can tell you, hey, you are too tall, you are too white, get out. To my eyes, you are unwantedly height because it's a threat to me. And you are white. Coming color is no good, so I have to get rid of you. So I can tell you. Somewhere they get your skin out and becoming shrinked. Then you can have the full-fledged of membership. Otherwise, be careful, I have noticed you. This we can do it. So this is the way. That much of argument, I am happy. And telling that you can tell me, I can tell you, because we are all in the same boat. But that is not the sectarianism. It is little vicious. Always take organization, always take a constitution, always take a formulas. Detrimental. Have the formulas for the Pirivanaya and learn people, but you mind your own business, be mindful and be unto yourself. Here now I am. That little, I know it is very popular, but this is not the main argument, so I stop my mouth. Dhamma, too white. You have to be brown.
Just come back to it's an important point is that one of the true characteristics is anicca, anatta, and dukkha, and this uncertainty is extremely difficult to stay with, and so therefore people go into certainty. So when somebody says superior or inferior, what they're actually is they're just unwilling to be with uncertainty. They're unwilling to be with the absolute anicca, anatta, and dukkha of every moment and of existence itself. So therefore, they're always asserting superior or inferior, and they're always saying I'm right and you're wrong, and it's this inability to be with I have no idea, because everything is uncertain. Everything is impermanent. Everything is a process that's just arising and passing away, and we're fooled by our own ego. We're fooled by this conceit that I know what's happening and I know what's true, and when in fact we don't absolutely know, and so therefore we think that we know, but we don't really know. And I find like in my own case that I can be very unwelcome by people who want certainty, when I know in my heart there is no certainty. So if I talk about uncertainty in the world, people think, that this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy is just a fool. Whereas they want to hear certainty. They want to be told what's the way the world is, what the truth is. And if you say, well, it's uncertain, then they think, well, you must be crazy. You must be a fool. And if you say that everything can be swept away in any moment, they think you're a fool, because for their life it's very static. Again, if I think about my farming community, family and so forth, every day is relentlessly the same in some ways, and they hate change. They don't want any change. They will defend, they will live a life that is so boring to make sure there's no change. And it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to really stay with truth and the way the world is. So as a result, they have these theories and ideas that I'm right and you're wrong. But to really be with uncertainty, to be as stripped down as we are as monks, where we don't have the scaffolding, we don't have all of the creature comforts, we don't have all of the alio, the nest around us, where we're not nesting, we're not roosting, we're not accumulating things, we're not gathering titles or properties or family. It's an extraordinary vulnerability, and to be at complete peace with this, nakedness, that we're born naked and we will die naked, and actually we pass through life in a naked way is incredibly difficult. It's an extraordinary practice. So even though we have just a robe and a bowl and very few possessions, this is an incredible task. So you can understand why there are so few Brahmins. Everybody else are just telling themselves stories. I'm right and you're wrong.
So I am happy, before giving any comments from others, find a relationship between Vanyayananda's concept and reality and the point we are discussing. Would you mind to read this? Page number 56. Where that I have put the marks. And that start with Venerable Buddha Gosa. Second line.
The whole.
No, that. Yeah, that up to the two lines.
Should I read the verse as well?
Start a sentence with Venerable Buddha Gosa. The book is Concept and Reality by Venerable Jnanananda, and the page number 56. The reading is by Venerable Subhuti. Vibhuti. Sudhira. Very sorry. I thought it's a Chinese, but later he found Canadian. And still I can't find this thing, but never mind.
Yes, some people think I'm Asian. Many people think I'm Asian. For
some people say?
Many people think that I'm Asian.
And you speak Sinhala, so therefore you are making people confused.
Ultimately confused, yes. Sorry about that. But Awasare Bhante, thank you for the teachings. I will now read the passage. Even Buddha Gosa seems to have been rather reluctant to appreciate fully the implications of this sutta, and we have a curious hint as to this in his comment on the word Nibbana, occurring as the last in the list of 24 concepts. While commenting, he hastens to add that Nibbana here refers only to the 5 heretical concepts of Nibbana. This narrowing down of the meaning is obviously incongruous with the spirit of the sutta.
Just please cut.
It, however, reflects a disparate attempt, on the part of the commentarial tradition, to salvage the orthodox concept of Nibbana, so dear to our religious consciousness. That the emancipated sage, Muni, no longer clings even to such concepts as Nibbana or detachment, Viraga, is clearly indicated in the following verse of the Sutta Nipata.
Yeah, this is Kate, one of the writers. He has written in Buddhist philosophy how much our commentaries are biased. And they want to establish Nibbana. It is not a concept, it is a place-like, it's a domain-like. So he is criticized as this person, Keith, is been repeated 3 times on the book. Today also we read page number 117, there also he read. When Jnanananda is referring, then I went to the first, this is the first occurrence. He says how much, whenever you are going to be a commentator, how much you get bogged down in a concept to establish Buddhism. And he is not well established in Buddhism. So he wanted to establish Buddhism. But the Western thinkers, they say his commentary is biased. It's establishing Nibbana. And his reference, and exactly the same, whenever someone is establishing a theory, a place, a concept, it is not impermanent. So therefore, impermanent people with the idea of impermanent, they keep things are open. Only Prasangika is not Sutantra, not presenting your idea, because he says you are wrong. But I am not going to say this is a pillar, this is something to be anchored upon. No, there is no such. So then what is Buddhism? how to remove the Buddhism from the Buddha Dhamma. So that good, the Maha Sutta. So that's why I just wanted to introduce this book also, because he so often take quotation from the Sutta Nipata and Majjhima Nikaya. So we are opening the discussion for others. You have anything?
Oh, should I finish that verse? Just because he says
to
read. So the English translation here is, for the Brahmin, the Muni, who has transcended all bounds, there is nothing that is grasped by knowing or by seeing. He is neither attached to attachment, nor is he attached to detachment. In this world, he has grasped nothing as the highest.
What is the reference?
That's apparently verse 795.
Sutta?
Suttanipata. It doesn't say which one.
That means very late one. 700.
795.
795. Okay. If anyone wish to add 795. Ah, 795.
I thought, thank you, Swaminatha Bhante. Well, a couple of things, I guess, that I came up was that, there are so many different religions in the world. There's so many different views, and but thinking about, because we're in Buddhism, that there is automatically people, they want to stick to their way of doing things. So they, I think, if somebody is like a Christian, they would be very suspicious of Buddhist teachings, and probably many people will be put off by them, or but since we are, but then we're all human beings as well. So we have to live, by oxygen and drinking water and food, and so it's interesting that we can be so opposed to other people and their ways, and it also occurred to me that human beings have become so populated on the planet that we're becoming so close in contact with each other that it makes things more intense and more people can feel more, I think, insecure, and because we're in such close contact, and if there's somebody that thinks differently than you, that often ends up being conflict, and with governments as well. There's just we're all sort of competing now. I mean, at this point, it's gotten so the planet is becoming so populated by human beings that there's definitely much more competition involved, and superior, one group wanting to be, have their security in their place, and there are other people coming and invading them, and so it's the same old problems that were at the time of the Buddha, but now it's even more difficult. And then, even within our own, like just in one monastery, we're all studying, we're all following the path of the Buddha, but each person has grown up differently and has had different experiences as they grow up, so they have sort of a different worldview just based on the people that they have been conditioned by as young people, as you grew up with whatever your experiences you had. So the Buddha's teachings would be apply differently to each person because of their different needs. And so to argue about that wouldn't make sense, because each person, many people do need kind of a different way to take in the Buddha's teachings and to apply it to their life, so that it brings benefit and brings them closer to realizing their true potential and their true understanding of reality. We have our own delusions and our own wrong views, so we need to. One person doesn't need the same way of straightening their view as another person, because we just have different views of different problems. So those are just some of the thoughts I would
in gist, in short.
I guess there were a couple of things. I was just more reflecting, Swaminatha, about the fact. Okay, the one thing was that we all have the commonality of being human beings, yet there's a inherent. We have a fear and suspicion of others because of different views and because of different religions and cultures conflicting and having different ways of viewing the world and wanting to keep their place of security. So I guess the gist of that is that I think human beings are driven by fear of wanting security. And there's a tendency. I think there's a natural tendency for human beings, not for us particularly as Buddhists, but I think everybody has this sort of wanting to kind of stick to their. And this may be even more Western. Western people, culture people, I think, have become much more individualized. So I think what I've understood is in Asia, people are much more like whole. They're not so divided amongst as individuals. In the West, we've gotten so much. We've prospered so much that each person can kind of create their own little bubble that's much more strong and narrow, and they can keep other people out. Whereas in Asia, it seems that people are more on a level field and more community-based and more family-based and whole as people, more close to being human.
Hooray! I am very happy.
Well, that's
so you have to tell directly, when not going around beating around the bush. You have to tell Asian is good, brown is good, and white is bad. So why you are only hammering?
Well, Swaminatha, that's actually why I wanted to be here, is because
otherwise I'll kick you out. I told you that you are too white.
I wanted to learn from brown men.
Yeah. So that yesterday evening also we had heated arguments. And but later we have a shake hand and no much of mercy killing or no martyrdom. Another American.
Yeah, too many of us today, I guess. You know,
another one is Vijayapura. He's in Vijayapura. He don't know both of you.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let me say, he came morning when we about to go to Anuradhapura. He told, "Where are you going?" I told, "I am going on Pindapatha." So he put the full rope and ball. And then on the way back, I told I wish to walk to the Kalavava just to see Kalavava and go Anuradhapura. So when Sudhamaro came to the Kalavava, found the bun, and remove the rope and start walking. Water level is very low. Walk into the center, the island. And I thought, American guy, come here in Sri Lanka. You know where the place we are going to have a bath in Kalarawa? He just climbed down from there, from the Anicut, and walk. And then he was remove the almost underneath and walk into the island. And Hemant and everyone came. I told, you see, who is that? I told the American. You see one thing, how free. And after sitting, having a nice sit, he go to the Pindabath and have a meal and come back. Of course, after seeing this thing and lot of, swans and ducks and everything is there very low level, I had no chance to have a bath. So we proceed to Anuradhapura. What a way. I told you there's a naughty 2 Americans there. Who? And this is one of the naughty fellows, yes.
Vasarai Bante. Thank you, Maha Sangha, for all the comments so far. And first of all, I just wanted to say that, as we all know, Pavarana was last night and or yesterday, and just that tradition alone, the tradition of asking your fellow monks and the Sangha for constructive criticism over your conduct or behavior, or if you see something or you think something or you believe that this other person could improve on something, the other person is asking, like, my fellow monks, would you please tell me, if I need to improve on something? And I think right there, one of the beautiful things about that is that you're saying that you're not always right, So when you ask for constructive criticism, you're saying that you're acknowledging that I'm not always right, and that sometimes I need somebody to point out my faults to me, which is not something that a lot of people in the world are willing to more or less acknowledge nowadays. Is that they can be wrong sometimes. I think a lot of people would just like to believe that they're right all the time, and that's one of the things that leads to these conflicts that we see, these debates, these arguments, fighting, wars, killing, all that stuff is the fact that a lot of people have this belief that I am right and you are not right. Point blank, period. I'm right, you're not right. So the act of inviting constructive criticism from your fellow monks is actually, I think, a beautiful act of humility. Is saying I'm not always right. I'm acknowledging that I'm not always right, and I would like you or my fellow monks to point out if I did something wrong. I would like to know about it, so that way I can improve in the future. And so I wanted to point out that was really, really nice that Pavarana was yesterday, and I really like that tradition. Secondly, as you were mentioning, Bante, earlier, people are afraid, I guess, as you were saying, of the unknown. So they kind of believe, my viewpoint is right and everyone else is wrong because they're afraid of the unknown and they don't understand anicca, dukkha, anatta. And also, another thing that a lot of people do nowadays is if they'll have this belief, or they'll say that if I'm not right and you're not wrong, then we're all right. All of us are right. So the belief behind it is still the same. So long as my personality is protected, as long as this personality view that I've constructed for myself is protected, that's all that matters. So if I'm not absolutely right and you're not absolutely wrong, well then all of us are right. We're all equal in this, and that's okay because my personality is still protected. This personality that I've constructed is still protected. So a lot of times people will say that if they don't if it's not a thing of where I'm absolutely right and you're absolutely wrong, then it's at least a thing of we're all equal and all of us are right. And that's another example of people not or being afraid of, you could say, the unknown, of not understanding anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, or unsatisfactoriness, and not self. And so that is another comment that I wanted to point out. That is my comment.
While listening, I thought that in love, in sex, all the disputes are there, but no harm. As far as your purpose is fulfilled. So no warfares, no argument, love making and chocolates and dark chocolate or something like that. It's also happening. I mean, we monks can see the politicians are fighting and warfares and they are on the views. But therefore no limits for sex, no limit for the war. I found no limits for vipassana. Vipassana is such a thing, wherever you go with the ball and the rope and live. I mean, others are additional. So therefore it is, if you understand vipassana, you are in Nibbana. Our fight is to understand vipassana. We can fight, no harm, but there's no martyrdom. How do you call martyrdom? Martyrdom. Martyrdom. So we can fight. And but the Buddha has given the theme. We have not achieved yet. In that we are impermanent, incomplete. So we are sharing. But still you are white, still you are white. As the philosopher and his son got together, Matthew Ricard. He says his father and he is arguing, and no one changed. The big book, the son and the philosopher. No harm. We are not convincing someone, we are not converting someone. There is no such idea, because I am also learner. Also a learner. So that way, yesterday Pavarana is, who Pandita Sayadaw says, there is no such a culture. We are offering to you, you are Samanera. Still you can find fault with me and you can express yourself. You are not perfect. You have to tell according to the sutta. That particular constitution or just particular rule. You can't project. You are not in prejudices. If you are prejudiced, others will fight with you. Yeah. So without a prejudice, you have to tell that particular rule, number 17, express like that, Bhante, you committed it, you are wrong. You have to surrender. If you are telling about your idea that I am coming from the Baptist family and our family is such and you are doing this and that, everyone will hack you. So that is the way. Oh. Good.
And really quickly, I wanted to say one other thing about what Bhante here was saying about, Westerners being more individualistic nowadays. I would say that the way I would explain it is there is definitely some truth to that. I would say that our culture has become definitely more self-centered, you could say, in many regards, where it's more than ever before. This is a personal attack on me. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And I would say that our culture has become definitely more self-centered, where everything has become, you could say, offensive. And people just don't know how to have even so much as dialogue anymore. A lot of the time, there's no such thing almost as in many Western countries nowadays. It feels like there's almost no such thing as this person has a different viewpoint than me. It's my viewpoint is right, always right, and if you're presenting something different from what I believe, then you're cancelled, essentially, cancelled.
So regarding that, I have a different opinion. I went to New Zealand, and that day Dalai Lama, His Holiness Dalai Lama came, organized by one of my friends. I have never seen him. So I went to the discussion in the big hall, 13,000 people or something like that. He came as a simple person. He told there won't be wars because so much of dialogues are there. Over the table, people are discussing. So therefore, before going to the violent, virulent fighting, there may be some negotiation because of the technology, because of the traveling they have developed with the new science and kind of thing. Therefore, you can stop the war at the family level. Family level. Within the family, if the mother is really shock absorber, he announced, alarm the mother. Now every hate is going to the mother. Mother is having so much of tension. Family wait, but still, please be religious, please be mindful, and you can say within the family, if within the family children are really into the family, not the scattered, and therefore there won't be. But still, when you see the Ukraine war, they are still with the primitive tools fighting. But one day it will split and go to the nuclear, and that will be the end. So the person Sadhguru and others, they say, why these are dragging? Dragging because dialogues are happening. Compromises are happening. It's good. We are not aware, but it's happening. So therefore we see only the outlook. And there we can say one day this country is winning, other country is there, and the China and this thing, everything is happening. That may be due to the technologically they are discussing, even they are fighting, appear like enemies, they have round table discussions than the earlier brutal wars. Now wars are happening from drones, no people.
And online.
Oh yeah, hacking and looting so much of money. And whatever the secret you find in the science, no more a secret.
What I meant, Bhante, was like going online.
He says that histogram. Yeah, correct?
So social media.
Histogram?
Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah. Pictures and naughty the comments and kind of, so therefore nothing hiding. The female, once they become puberty, they give photos, they, am I beautiful? Why not? All the crazy fellows telling you are beautiful, then he leave the family, go to media, and too big, too small, everything is beautiful. Sex. So war is there at one end. This way, just like dogs, just like pigs. Once the dog, the bitch become attend, there's no ethics. There's no waiting. The first ever the menstruation and then pregnant. This is what happened. So anyway, we are talking far away from Chula Maha Sutta.
Yeah, respect to Most Venerable Sir. Thank you very much for the delightful insight in singular discussion as well as in this discussion. Since we are far away from the topic, I just want to come back to the topic. And we are talking about superiority and inferiority. Although in this discourse, Buddha is mentioning to the other Buddha that the same people who are going in search of truth are quarreling themselves. Buddha himself has mentioned that he is the superior in many instances. And in the first discourse itself, he said, I'm going to disclose a teaching that no one has heard ever before. And that it itself is showing his superiority. And in many other suttas, he has said, I am the chief above the three worlds, with all devas, brahmas, and human beings and yakas. And I think that is, although he says that we should not quarrel on that, he has the capability and the skill to say that he is superior, because he has developed his mind, as Bhante said earlier. He is not taking anything as self. He has realized the impermanence, so he has the capability to avoid any confusion or any conflict that may arise from
from disclosing that he is the superior. So although he is saying that we should not go into the discussion of superiority and inferiority, he himself has done it with the necessary ammunitions to protect the world and himself and anyone who is following his path.
Thank you, Sana Hansei, for the comments, and Maha Sangha, everyone. Yes, I suppose I just have a open-ended question for the Theras especially, and for anyone who might have some insights. Essentially, it does seem like what the Sutta Nipata brings out to me a lot is the inherent problem of samsara. Basically, like where we get stuck and what kind of keeps us trapped. And because we don't really usually go over many other topics besides the Sutta Nipata, which is important because we do need to be aware of the problem. I'm just curious what can be said about having to overcome this problem. How do we see
So
past
what
these
I
blind
thought
spots?
was, as far as you started this, whether we are technologically high or low, we are civilized or not, we are in the village or we are in the individual, we appreciate the family life or not, question is the question. Question answer is in here now I am. We are searching in the wrong place. So our discussion must understand to gear it to make the point. By the discussion, do we feel happy and confident wherever I am here? I mean, no problem. I am not making a problem. I am not discussing with others. By no discussion, you give a silent sermon. And if you touched it, if you just had a pinch of the here now I am, it's a birthright. It is not given by the parents or the religion or by any subject or any theory. But the thing is, someone has to stir it, someone has to catalyze it. You are enlightened. So we are with education, we become so inferior. We think the government is power, I have no power. Money is power, I don't have power. They have a wife, I don't have a wife. They have children, I don't have a lion. So that what all these things, all are institutional the crushing you. Buddha gave full-fledged. Come here and now you are fulfilled. You are contented. And when we go to Satipasala, we just tell children, you are the best. Don't worry about the parents' role model and the teacher's role model and the Supreme Court judge role model. They are utter shit. You are the best. They don't know how to express it. The Buddha says children below 6, they are pure in their mind, but they can't entertain it because they don't know they are pure. So we have to talk with our senior citizens' dilemma and says, you are so beautiful. Why don't you sing a song? And they never expect that kind of, they will think they will ask the mathematical questions, historical questions. No. You just start. And then we become young. We become beginners. And our theory, of course, we know. We can just let it aside. And then, you see, rejuvenation. And this is telomere. When you are meditating, there's a kind of a telomerase enzyme happens. So our chromosomes caps will be elongated, not shrink. And then day by day they become young. On this theoretical maximum you can explain how the meditation is verifiable. So when you are meditating, do we need that experiment? Do we need that kind of research? That means we don't have faith. Even though we are monks. But we are using this too as a tool for the scientific mind. Yes, this is, if you wish, these are the structural changes. Not on the brain level, even at the cell level, even at the chromosome level. I mean, they are research never aimed at Nibbana. They are taking, people are happy with the rejuvenation. People are happy with the becoming a beginner's mind. They think there's a theory. We say, yes, there's a theory. But what theory? Telomerase never happened by theory. You just simply sit. I am free, I am me. Here now I am. For that, do we need this kind of long discussions? Maha viewer, Chula viewer. So Nyananda gave 33 talks here in this building. And it has come as a library copy in English and Sinhala. Very simple person asks, is Nibbana so long? Then I told, I was so informed how to extract and these books and make me talkative, articulating. Otherwise, I felt it even as a young guy. But I don't know how to talk with Sudhu Hamduro and big shots and kind of thing. Now with these all borrowed terms, I can talk. And I feel like sometimes some people know I'm a bumpkin. Some people think, he knows everything and kind of. What nonsense. They are hobbies. I am reading. Because I can talk with you, I am very happy. But it is everything. I am to be a beginner's mind. So I always ask, to be a beginner's mind, do we need the long discourse? Do we need matrix education for the arithmetic? So I was very bad in arithmetic. My father's elder brother is a very drunkard person. He never have a bath. He just live in the life. And I told Lukapaji, I can't go to school because so much of, they are on the I don't know in English terms. Long division. All that. I told Puta, don't worry. Only 4. You have to understand the extract, subtract, add, multiply and divide. That's all. Only 4. All the things is balance. Then I went to postgraduate. And they taught econometrics. With the matrix, at that time computers were not there. That day exam was there, I was not aware. I was at home, little sick. All the students came, why didn't you come back to the exam? Then I told, even I go, I fail. I need no any kind of postgraduate. But I went and asked the teacher. He's a very drunkard person. He said, okay, I give the same question paper. Other 2 students fail, I am passed. I got 33 marks in matrix. The econometrics.
You said you passed? Yes.
Yes, I got pass marks.
33?
Yes.
Yeah, those days, yes.
33, big number. Others fail. They can't, because it was such a difficult, econometrics. So I became pakir. Because that my teacher is a drunkard person. This is the way. So I can teach econometrics, but I know nothing. But if I can take a book, I can teach these things. Maha Sutta, Chula is all are nonsense. Even without that you can be mindful. Why don't you become mindful? Throw away the econometrics, throw away these books. And even Nyananda was criticized. Because he is given so in detail. You see, without detail you can't go into this subject. That's why the imaginary Buddha happened. And he's asked, you see, so long. So you have to go a slide very little. And each and every concept is a topic for the bestseller. Topic for the Nobel Prize. You read the bestseller books. Exactly the same. They have handled only one verse. They know how to write prolifically. Never practice. They never practice. They think, present them as their own ideas. So he recommended this book, Kahneman's book, the Why Good People Are Arguing on the Politics and Ethics. Book name is different. What's the name? Book's name? You can't remember.
I think The Righteous Mind.
Huh?
The Righteous Mind?
Yes. So I hate that book. Yeah, not Jonathan.
Yeah, it is. It's a different author.
And after reading this one, he's talking why good people are arguing. The imaginary Buddha is asking. Then I got the book. Start reading again. And he present in a big number of vocabulary, number of good terms, but it's exactly the same. I never raised this question. I never thought about that's a relevant question, but the Buddha thinks that is the most relevant question. That's why the imaginary Buddha is asking. That Jonathan also writing the same. He was pressing, Bhante, you have all the books, why don't you take? But at the beginning it was so boring. Sorry that I am taking again the discussion into the wilderness. You have to talk to the mic.
Yes.
Keep the mind like this.
Bhante said that when we are being mindful and the difference between those who are going for Nibbana and those who are doing something for some algorithm and things like that.
Mac mindfulness.
Then Bhante mentioned because they don't have faith. And so I wonder what Bhante really meant by what role faith has to play.
They
in
don't
that.
have the faith on liberation. So utterly they are misled. They will be going split, and the mind will be really devastating. If you are doing mindfulness, and if it is not geared to Nibbana, early part no problem. You are learning at a rate. But later question happen. Are you ready to leave your ego? Are you ready to leave your permanent notion? No. Then meditation is asking for trouble. That is why it says it's a business Buddhism, McDonald Buddhism, dollar Buddhism. So they are asking, they are criticizing me. Are you also a dollar businessman or McDonald mindfulness? Then I told, I am giving just bare attention. As you like, you can carry on. I am not dealing with your faith. The last time we had the administrators, health administrators seminar. I gave 30 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. One person from England told, I am also in the health sector and administration. Bhante, your mindfulness is a faith-based or religious? Have you adjusted the mindfulness? Yes, I told I adjusted. I am talking about the bare attention. I am not the founder. Venerable Jnanaponika founded 60 years ago. I picked it. I present it. You can read the power of mindfulness. And I found that is the easy way because it can be a school subject. Whatever the faith. But I am a religious, I am a 40 years, 33 years Vassa. I am a forest monk. I am dedicated my life, but I am asking others, please come to Nibbana, come to Buddhism. No. Just catalyze your mindfulness and paths are open. It becomes diversified. So then you have to you have to avenue the mind. That I am not responsible. By opening the issues, opening the diversification, is it a crime? I don't think so.
Yeah, so the thing about vipassana and about insight meditation is that it's so simple to some degree that nobody will believe it. And so there's all these other posh theories.
2 minutes more.
Yeah, I'm aware.
No, I am not disturbing.
No. So a lot of the reasons that we have to understand some of these arguments or ideas is to actually just keep batting away all of these distractions. So and have confidence in the practice, because no matter what, it's just the nature of the human mind that if somebody has something more complicated or pretty or a theory, we're attracted to it, and you have to be able to kind of like go, yep, okay, bat it off, another story, another argument, and at the same time appreciate the profundity that in fact mindfulness and insight is unlocking wisdom, and we all these intellectual ideas, and we could go into a form of philosophy department, but there's no wisdom department, and you
can start.
Yeah. So that's we're.
Sorry.
It's sort of like
I'm very sorry for this.
A via negative. You have to keep on dismissing all these other arguments, whittling it away, whittling it back to this very, very simple set of truths, like that it is anicca, not a dukkha, and that it's just be mindful and it's just stay with things. You can't believe it. It can't be that simple. It can't be just here and now. It can't be just
you are talking
moment.
about the faith.
There's faith, but then it has to be confirmed faith. Until you have
verifiable
confirmed faith, verifiable, and you get your own direct experience, it's all just theories. And you're just fall off every time into the different theories. And I see so many monks who, they join and they get some sense of peace and calm, and then the next thing they're off into some philosophy, or they're off learning Pali, they're off learning the thing, something. They're doing anything but here now I am. That's all, So
enough.
This is a kind of
I have a criticism.
Defense.
I have a criticism. You are joining the mindfulness and insight now. So that's my formula. When I go and talk in the Perth, they were not happy. I told mindfulness is inside. So he started with that. No, mindfulness is something very preliminary and inside. So next time you can proceed. Sorry, I disturbed 3 times. I simply, I am a superior person. I have my rights. I am the discussant. So therefore I have to make everything laugh. So that's the end of the today's discussion. Thank you very much for the active participation.